Well, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I told you there would be a little few issues here and there. I ended up stopping the stream, not realizing that I never started it up again. So you guys missed all of the fun, and by fun I mean not the fun part. I'm back to actually being set up. I've got an air conditioner blowing on me. It feels great inside the house here, and I'm going to go to the desktop here. You can see that I've actually already got a image of the Dumbell Nebula coming in. These are 90-second exposures that I'm taking, and so I'm sorry I completely blew out you guys getting to see all the fun part of doing the polar alignment and all of that mess. It was a bit of a fiasco. I had some issues this evening just getting everything working. Again, my first time streaming. Technically, it's like my third stream for the night because I've had to stop twice for one issue or another. But anyway, this is what the image looks like coming in. This is a 90-second. Go to desktop only so you can see some of the data on the right-hand side of the screen here. So these are 90-second exposures of hydrogen alpha filter on M27, and I'm actually just getting ready to start. I'm only going to capture, let's see, 90 seconds. Let's do 20 frames of hydrogen alpha. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start this now, and it's capturing. But everything is looking pretty good tonight. You can see a little satellite that just appeared in my frame. So in the next frame, this satellite will go from here down probably all the way across the frame here, I would imagine, in 90 seconds. I'll leave it on the wide view until the next frame comes rolling in here in about 10 seconds here. And we can see the position of that satellite. I don't know if it was in the last frame. It might be leaving the frame. Actually, we still have about 35 seconds left to go on this exposure. I've got time to zoom in, and we'll zoom back out. So this is looking at it at 100%. Stars are nice and round tonight. Well, not really. Now that I'm looking at it zoomed in 100%, my stars are a little oblong, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with my guiding being horrible tonight. This was, again, more of a test for the stream, so we've got a new exposure coming in here in a second. Update. Oh, well, yeah, that's a satellite, but it's moving slow. Boy, that's only 90 minutes of move, or 90 seconds of movement. I'm sorry, 90 seconds. Again, this is M27, the Dumbell Nebula. And I'm shooting in hydrogen alpha. This is a 7 nanometer, 7 nanometer hydrogen alpha filter, a beta 7 nanometer. And I'm shooting 90-second exposures, unity gain on the ASA 1600 camera, and it's cooled down to -5 degrees, I believe is our temperature. Yeah, it's sitting right at -5. I tried -10, and it ramped up the cooler all the way to 100% just to get to -9. So since I've got dark frames set for -5 and -20, I figured I'd just back it back down to -5, since there's no way here in the desert in the summer I'm going to reach -20. But let's zoom in and explore this image a little bit. I mean, the stars aren't horrible. They're not great, but when you look at the individual stars, they seem to be okay. I'm almost as new to imaging as I am to streaming, and this is my third stream in one day. So this is part 3, and I'm fairly new at this. I'm not expecting APOD, which is the Astronomy Photo of the Day award by NASA, by any means. My skies here I'm in Henderson, Nevada, so it's a suburb of Las Vegas, and the skies are on a scale of 1 being perfect and 9 being absolute worst. And my backyard directly overhead is an 8, so you can see it's not great. So I don't ever do any serious stuff here in the yard. Mostly what I'm doing, and because I forgot to start the stream back up, you guys missed the fun part, is I was testing the plate solving, because I updated all the plate solving software in SharpCap a couple of days ago, and this is the first clear night I've had a chance to actually get out and test it under real skies. So wait, see. We got another exposure coming in about 15 seconds here. I'm going to capture, this is the second, I've gotten 2 frames. This is frame number 3 of 20 coming in here. So we're doing this real time, and I'm not doing any live stacking in the software, although I guess I could try that. It wouldn't, but I'm afraid that it'll not keep my individual files as well, so I don't really want to mess with. I haven't had a lot of luck understanding the settings in SharpCap's live stack feature. So anyway, just checking the chat here, make sure there's no questions. I don't think there's anybody watching, which is as badly as I've messed up tonight. That's perfectly fine with me. We'll go back to the SharpCap full screen here. I'm kind of curious why my oh, I know why. You know what? What am I gonna do? We're gonna go to the outdoor camera. Let me get the outdoor camera started and just look at the mount. So and the reason I want to do that is because I want to minimize my desktop for a second. I need to change the output resolution here of this monitor. The default is 1920 by 1200, but I have all my templates and everything set up for 1920 by 1080, which is what I've got to stream. So now if I go full screen with everything, and if I put my template overlay back in, it's still cutting off a little, or still showing a little bit at the bottom. Oh well, it's close enough for what we're doing. Again, M27, the Dumbell Nebula, 90-second exposures in hydrogen alpha. I've gotten 4 out of 20 that I plan to do tonight, and then we're going to actually, I'm going to show you the entire processing procedure too. So we'll stay live for quite a while here if you want to hang tight here. It's saying 9:51 p.m. Again, I'm on East Coast time. It's 9:27 here right now. So it's saying 9:51 until my last image is captured. So we've got a little ways to go here, 30 minutes almost. You can see, at least you can see now in the corner, you can see what's going on with the exposures. So I've got about 5 seconds left here, and we'll have a new frame coming in. I just like to keep it zoomed in on the image to 100% so I can really see whenever I've got a bad frame that comes in. This is what the, if I go to auto and fill the screen, so this is what the entire sensor looks like of the camera. As far as you know, what the pixels are covering, and we're going to do a monochrome image of M27 tonight here, the Dumbell Nebula. Of course, you're looking at a monochrome image, but I mean, we're going to process a monochrome image of the Dumbell Nebula tonight. There's a couple little settings over here I wanted to check. Image controls, brightness, No, I'm thinking this was supposed to be set to something different. I'm going to open up a window here and look at the dark library here. Yeah, my offset is supposed to be 21. Offset is the brightness. So for -5, it's supposed to be set at 21. So that's what I thought. So we're going to go down here to image controls, and we're going to change this to 21. And of course, this is going to mess up all of my frames that I've captured up to this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop the capture, open up the folder that these files are in. I didn't want to, I just wanted to open up the folder. I didn't want to open up that file. There we go. And we're going to delete all these because we have to start over, because we have to do it right or we don't do it at all. So again, brightness is set to 21, temperature at -5, gain is at 139, and exposure is at 90 seconds. And we're going to start capture again. And instead of doing 20 exposures, let's just cut it down to 10 so we can get through this evening without suffering so much. So we'll do 10 90-second exposures. And hopefully, you know, they all come out. 90 seconds times 10 is 900 seconds divided by 60 seconds equals, so it'll be a 15-minute exposure, which is not too bad. Okay, our webcam outside shut down. That's all right. We'll get it started back up. So you can see, looking at the camera outside, the camera's pretty close to, I can't really tell how far away the camera is, or the back end of the telescope is, from hitting the mount. So I'm going to take a little quick walk outside and make sure that we've got, I'm pretty sure we've got at least 15 more minutes before we've probably, you know what, I can look at here at CPWI, and I can tell, yeah, so this yellow and green circle here in the center of the screen, that is the current location. This red line here is the meridian, so it's headed this way, and we got plenty of time before it reaches the meridian, which is about where my camera would hit the mount. So we're all good there. Guiding is looking horrible, but you know what? Well, 0.86 total RMS error, 0.86. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's horrible, but the stars are round, so that's all I really care about tonight. This, unfortunately, is like typical for. Let me get my ugly face off the screen there. This is like typical for what I've been able to get out of the CGX. I've been I would say way less than thrilled with the guiding history that I've gotten out of this mount. Even though when you look at the images and we zoom in, let me do a auto stretch there. Let's zoom in on this. So, you know, the stars don't look bad. They're round. Focus is as good as I could get, so I guess I can't really ask for much more from a $2,000 mount or a $2,400 mount. I don't even know how much I paid for it. I was one of the very, very early adopters of the CGX. I probably had one of the first 100. I was on a wait list, or I signed up for a wait list for this mount before they even released it when I first heard about it. So I got probably one of the first 100 or so. I don't know if there's a serial number on this mount or not, but I'd be interested to find that out. Still nothing in the chat. That means I have 0 viewers. Or if I have 1 viewer, just say hello. You don't even need to ask a question. If you don't know anything about astronomy and you just somehow ran across this live feed, just say hello, just so I know my chat is actually working. That would be awesome. And otherwise, that means I have 0 viewers, which for a test night that I didn't inform anybody about, I'm okay with that. Let's see. Let's go back to the desktop. Yeah, we're looking at this at 100% zoomed in. So, you know, let's zoom into 200% and zoom in on one of these bright stars. You know, I mean, hey, does a star get any rounder than that? I don't know if it does or not. That's a round star there. I'm happy with that. So I'm happy with that, no matter what PhD says my mount is actually doing out there. As long as PhD can correct for it, then and keep my stars round at 670 millimeter focal length, I'm happy with that. Look at that. Look at those stars. Look at those corrections just jumping all over the place, though. Ugh. This screen makes me mad when I look at it. Let's get off of that screen. Another exposure coming in here and updating now. So that's a new frame. Good. Haven't had very much satellite traffic through this part of the sky yet tonight, so that's good. I have found some music that I'm going to buy to actually have playing in the background for when I'm tired of talking. I can just turn the music level up. It took a while for me to find what I consider to be appropriate free music. That's the little notification that my webcam outside has shut down, which is fine. I'm going to leave it shut down for now. But I don't want to plug the music really too much right now. Once I purchase it and I've had a chance to listen to it and see that it's appropriate background music for this kind of live streaming, then I will happily let you guys know who it is and where it came from and how much it cost, and I'll give a online live streaming review of the music as it's playing. It's royalty-free music. I listened to some samples yesterday. It's a gentleman, I believe, in the UK, and the price seemed reasonable until I did the math on the conversion from, I guess, the British pound to dollar, and then it seemed a little bit expensive. But I have no problem with supporting artists like that create music, and I would never steal anything like that. So it seems pretty good, and I'm probably going to end up purchasing it before the next live stream, and I'll just have it playing in the background on a separate fader that I can bring up and down whenever I need to take a break, maybe go to the bathroom, or just tired of talking like I am right now already. So I guess one of the things we've got, let's see, it says ETA is 9:45 for the 5 more frames to be done. It's 9:38 right now. So I guess I can talk a little bit. I started the evening and I was really anxious to get going, and I completely forgot some internet connection stuff that I needed to do. So just to kind of recap what's going on here, I am setting inside my house in my office, and I have a desktop that's right here, a pretty powerful desktop, more than powerful enough to do everything that we're doing here tonight. The telescope has a small computer, a very underpowered computer, mounted on it outside. And my desktop here is actually connected wirelessly to our home internet. And what I didn't realize is I use TeamViewer to wirelessly connect to the computer that's mounted on the telescope outside. So in order for me to do that, I've got to actually connect. I have a long Ethernet cable, and I run it from my office here into the living room where our router is, and plug it in. So in order for me to be able to connect wirelessly to the computer that's outside and connect, I have to be connected wired to the router inside the house here. So we started the stream tonight, and I was on the desktop here wireless. So when I got everything mounted outside, I realized that, and that's the first stream. If you go back and look at my history, I guess you'll see stream 1, stream 2, stream 3. That was the first stream tonight. And that covers, if you want to see the actual process of, I did have all of the gear setting on this table here. And so that first video goes through the whole process of setting everything up outside in the backyard and getting the tripod up, getting the mount on the tripod, getting the telescope on the mount. And then I realized that at that point that there's no way that I was going to be able to TeamViewer into the computer out there because I have to be on a different Wi-Fi system. So I ended the broadcast, and I started it back up, and I started it back up a little prematurely. And I thought I had everything going good. I was connected with a hard line to my desktop here, and I was connected wirelessly to the router that's mounted on the telescope outside, and I wasn't able to connect. And I had run into that issue before. I've run into that issue twice, and the first time was easy to solve. The second time, I spent days working on it. In fact, I spent 3 miserable days working on it until I realized that I had updated the software on the mini computer that's on the telescope. And when I did that, I just updated, I connected to the internet to download actually an update to SharpCap, the program that you're seeing here in the background. And in the process of doing that, let's see, how long do we have left here? We have about another 1.5 frames to go here. So in the process of doing that, it turned the firewall back on. Windows, if anybody knows how to permanently, and I mean permanently, disable a firewall, send me a message, because I need to know how to do that. I didn't do a Windows update. The only thing I did was update SharpCap, and I updated the database for the plate solving software that's in SharpCap. And I connected to the internet, of course, to do that. And in the process of doing that, it automatically reset the firewalls. So my first attempt was to go out. The telescope computer obviously doesn't have a monitor or a keyboard or a mouse or anything. But in the past, what has happened is a little notification pops up on the screen that says, do you want to allow TeamViewer access through the firewall? So all I really had to do was plug a mouse into it and press yes or press OK, and that should have worked. Didn't work. So then I took a monitor and plugged a monitor, a little 7-inch external monitor, into it, and I think we're coming up on the end of our records here. No, we got about 1 minute and 20 seconds. And I looked at it, and that warning notice about the firewall was not there. So I started thinking, what could it possibly be? Well, I have 2 methods of connecting to the computer out there. I have wireless, which is 1 IP address, and I have wired, which is an Ethernet cable going into the Ethernet port. And it's a separate IP address. And I was trying to TeamViewer in using the wired IP address. So stupid mistake on my part. So I ended up stopping the broadcast, So the second broadcast is pretty much, I don't know, me being an idiot. So I stopped that and then started the broadcast up again here. And I thought I had started the broadcast up again, but apparently in order to start the broadcast up, you have to officially close the previous broadcast. And I hadn't closed it, I had only stopped it. And so when I started it back up, it didn't actually start the stream back up. So that's why segment 3 here, as I'm calling it, only has the actual imaging. So you missed my polar alignment procedure and the setup of all of the other software and everything. All right, so we're done here, but you know what? 15 minutes is great, but I would rather have a little bit more time, and it's only 9:44, so I'm going to just go ahead and start another 10 exposures, which it now says will be complete at 10 p.m. So that's a good round off time. So we're going to do 10 more exposures. So I'll end up with a 30-minute total of 30 minutes of capture data here. So here's something that we can do though. I can go into, I'm going to get my ugly mug off the screen so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go into TeamViewer's Files and Extra, and I'm going to open up a file transfer. So let me do this. Let me bring this over here. So this is my desktop, and I want to go into the D drive, and I'm going to make a new folder here. And this is going to be labeled the same as the folder that's outside, 08/24/2020. And it is M27 live stream test. Alright, so that's the folder I want to transfer the files to. Now, my computer that's outside is here on the right hand side, 824. So here are the files that it's captured so far. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start transferring those files now from my mini PC that's mounted on the telescope over the Wi-Fi to my internal desktop computer here. So they'll be sitting on the computer ready to go whenever we get done with the imaging. The only bad thing is that while it's doing the transfer here, I can't minimize it to go back to, or maybe I can. Can we do that? Ah, perfect. So it's transferring in the background while we're looking at our images here. We get a little notification in the bottom right-hand corner there that shows so far that 3 files have been sent successfully. 4 files. So and of course we're downloading new images too as we go here, but this will just be that much fewer files that I have to transfer whenever we're done this evening. I'm just kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. How's our transfer going? All right, it's getting there. So that's even better. I can see my live image in the background, and I can see my file transfer going on in the foreground here. So. Do 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 do. Oh, I hope I don't get copyright notification for using a particular game show's theme song, although my version of it was so lame that I'm sure that no computers picked up on that. All right, so we're looking here. So 46.12 was the last one. So this one's ready to go. So our frames are coming in, and now we should have another one if I refresh this screen. Yep. So now I can just transfer one file at a time, and we can kind of actually keep up with the live capture here of transferring the files to my desktop. All right, I'm going to close that for now. So we have 13 files on our desktop, and if I go to desktop folder here, you know, I went to the dark scheme recently on my desktop here, and now it seems like it's bogging everything down. So current projects, and let's see. So here we go. We've got our 13 files right here. Let's open up one of these. They don't look like much whenever you look at them, just the raw files like this, but you can definitely see a lot of data there, so that's good. All right, we'll close that, go back to live. Living in the desert, got to drink water. I think I've gone through probably, I lost track after like 7 or 8 of these gigantic solo cups of water throughout the course of the day today. My ice machine can barely keep up with me. I'm going to take a quick walk outside just to look at the mount and make sure that everything still looks good. Turn the camera back on out there so you guys can see it. And there we are. Just going to do a quick peek, make sure that the telescope is not anywhere near the mount. Oh, we've got plenty of time. We could image the dumbbell for another probably 45 minutes before the scope gets anywhere near hitting the mount. Let's go back to our desktop and see where we're at here. Let's see. So far, I'm really impressed with how things are looking tonight. I mean, I haven't seen a bad sub come in. Each individual exposure is called a sub, as in subframe. I suppose that's what it stands for. And every once in a while, you know, you'll either get a satellite pass right through the center of the exposure, or you'll get an airplane, which is even worse, or the wind might come up or clouds roll through, so you end up getting a bad exposure. But so far, I have not really, other than that little satellite that tracked through the corner of the picture here, which the stacking software will completely eliminate that. The only time I delete, like with a satellite passing through the frame, is if it actually passes through like the main subject. I'll go ahead and delete it. There's no point. If I am trying to capture 10 exposures, what I'll usually do is if I'm not paying attention, I will capture like 12 or 13 exposures. That gives me a couple of extras to be able to trash the worst of the bunch and still give me the 10 that I was actually expecting to get. But so far, Let's see. This is 6 of 10. We've caught 6 of 10 so far on the second round, and we had 10 on the first round. Let's see. Open a file transfer box here. It would be nice if it opened everything back up where it was. Wrong folder. D drive. Alright, so 40, let's see, 4913 was my last frame, 4913. So that's that. So these 3 here are ready to go. A WhatsApp message coming in from some friends that are probably excited to be observing tonight as well. Let me see what they're up to. Somebody's asking if there's any clouds. I'm on a little astrophotography WhatsApp group channel with like 4 or 5 other guys here in the Vegas Valley, and a couple of us live in the southeast, and most of the guys live in the northwest, and they're asking if there's any sign of clouds rolling in. Nothing here so far, so I'm really happy right now. It's a shame this little baby cam is not powerful enough to see. Actually, I don't know. That I believe that's Jupiter. I'm pretty sure that is Jupiter. That's about where Jupiter is right now. So, oh, my camera shut off. Let's turn it back on. There we go. Let's just point it up. Yeah, there's not going to be anything else visible. But yeah, that is Jupiter, so it's sensitive enough to show Jupiter. My backyard is lit up like a Christmas tree. I didn't even bother. I knew I was going to be shooting like straight overhead, so I didn't even bother turning the pool lights off. Let's see what else is going on in the backyard. Nothing right now. Come back around. You can tell I'm bored when I start showing off my backyard. There we go. And let's go up 1 notch. Alright. So, let's see where we're at. Any more exposures come in? Yep, we got 1 more to transfer here. So I think we're all caught up now on the transfers. We've got a couple more exposures coming in on this second run of 10. So what I want to talk about before we kind of wrap up here, or we're not really wrapping up, I'm in for the long haul, is so I already have a dark library, and the dark library, for anybody that doesn't understand, is every camera sensor has noise, and the dark library helps to subtract some of the I don't think ambient noise is the right word, but like if you were to just put a black cap over the camera and take a picture for 90 seconds, you would see just read noise or whatever it's called. I'm not an image processor. You're gonna see that later on. I let the software do what it does, and if it doesn't turn out good, I don't really know what else to do after that. But I'm learning. We're getting there. So you have to have dark frames that match the length of your light frames, or the subs that we're taking. So these are 90-second exposures. Well, I have a library that has already built 90-second subs, so we don't have to sit around for 20 or 30 minutes shooting a bunch of 90-second dark frames, because if you think this is boring, watching dark frames being captured live will put you in a coma. But because my mount, or because my scope is removed from the telescope all the time, and to put it in the case I have to adjust the focuser, I have to rotate the camera a little bit to get everything packed away. So in doing that, I've got to do something that's also called light frames, and light frames take out the dust bunnies and stuff. You can have dust on the sensor, you can have dust on the front glass of the camera itself, you can have dust on the filters, you can have dust on the front element of the refractor, the main element. So all of those create potential for dust. And so by producing a flat frame, what that does is that eliminates those. Sorry, I can't talk and think at the same time. So we're finished with our light frames now. And so let me go back to file transfer one last time here. And match up. So 5646 was our last one that was transferred. 5646. So we've got two more here that can be transferred. Okay, so while those are transferring, so what I've got here is you may have seen these not looking like this, obviously, because this is like a little homemade rig that I've got made up. But it is a light panel that's designed for, you put a piece of artwork on the light panel. It's an LED panel. You can see it's like super thin. It's got power input here on the side, and when you plug it in, it provides power. So then you can put a piece of paper over it, and you can see the outline. It's for tracing, for copying. If I hold it up directly to the camera, you can see it's just a piece of white plastic with a bunch of LEDs on the inside here that light up this panel evenly. And this cardboard chute that I've got made actually fits directly over the lens shade on the telescope. So I can slide this over, plug it in, the mount will provide the power to it. The Pegasus Astro will provide the power to it. And then I can create the flat frames. So the one thing I've got to do first is I've got to find the power cord that I'm pretty sure I brought inside here. It may be. I may have to run into my garage and grab that. But anyway, so we're done with capturing the subs, which are the lights. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back to desktop with camera here. So that was our last picture. We're going to close. We're going to close. No, we're not going to close. We're going to turn off the guider. We don't need the guider anymore. So we're going to stop that, and we're going to disconnect everything there. And we're gonna shut down Pt.3, and I'm gonna go back to the mount, and I'm gonna tell the mount to go to its home position. And when I do that, we'll go to the outside shot here, and you can see the telescope moving around to its home position. So this will basically be where we park it for the night. And once it gets to the home position, I can power the mount down. All right, so All right, so I can disconnect the mount now. It's now moved back to its home position here at Polaris, roughly. And disconnect. And I can close that. And now I will probably get an error message saying that SharpCap has lost the mount. Oh, look at that. An airplane flew through right when we were done. How about that? Perfect timing. That was the last exposure. Or you know what? That's probably stars from whenever I started moving the mount. So I need to go outside now. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to put this on and plug it in, and then we will be ready to go here in a second. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the light panel on. I'm going to turn the light panel on, or provide power to the light panel. And let me get things set back up here. Okay. And I'm going to go to the outdoor camera, and you'll see me, let me tilt the camera up a little bit because this is going to be up at the top of the telescope here. I have to go find a power cord to this little baby, and then I'll meet you in the backyard. I'll turn the sound back on for out there so that maybe you can hear me talk. All right. All right, so again, I'm going to slide this right over the front telescope here, and put the power cord in here. Power output on the Pegasus Astro. All right, so now it has power. All right, so we'll go back to the desktop here now. And I'm going to mute the audio from out there. So now you can see the exposures, or I've got to bring the exposures way down. I've got to reset this so that it's not stretching. And so that's still overexposed. Let's bring it down to about 2 seconds. Still overexposed. All right, we're getting close. So you can see what's happening here, right? The exposure's coming down. You look at the histogram. You want to make sure that you are not auto-stretched, because auto-stretch will give you an inaccurate reading like this. So you want to be on, you want to reset the histogram. And you want to bring your exposure down until this hump right here is right over the middle of this line in the middle, which indicates like 50% gray. So that's 502 milliseconds. So I'm going to go down to about 490 and see where that sets. All right, so you see on the histogram here, so that's absolutely perfect now. It's right where it needs to be. I'm going to change this to auto so we can see the entire frame. Now, if I were to do a stretch, you could see all of the dust and everything. So the sharper, smaller dots, like you see right here, are probably little bits of dust that are actually on the sensor. And the big giant one is probably dust that's on the front end of the telescope, the main lens of the telescope. This one right here, this medium sized one, is probably something that's on the filter as well as that. That's probably on the filter. I'm guessing this big one is something that's on like one of the front elements. But anyway, so you don't really see that individually whenever the stretch is reset to this. So what we need to do now, you'll see the time exposure is 490 milliseconds. And I am going to capture 50 of these. But you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to change this title to flat. Now I'm going to capture the 50. If I didn't change the title there, then the file names would be named M27, and it would be hard just looking at the individual files without opening them up, telling which file was a flat and which file was an actual image of M27. So we want to do 50 of these. This is not going to take a long time, guys. It's not like the other captures. You can look in the bottom right-hand corner there, and you can see that I am zipping through here. It's already at 15, 16, coming up on 20 out of 50. It's at 30 now, 20 to go. $40, 10 more. Then we have one more thing that we've got to do, but we'll have to go back out to the scope first before we do that. All right, so it's captured the 50, and it's capturing them so fast that, okay, so now it finally finished writing to the SSD. So now we want to take our filter wheel, and we want to turn the filter to black. And then I want to go back to the Pegasus Astro software here, and I want to turn the light panel off. So I'm going to flip the switch here, but I want to show you first the I don't know if you can let's see, let me switch back over to the outside camera. So before there was a light on the back of that panel that you could see glowing, but now that I've turned it off, it doesn't automatically turn back on. But anyway, so I know right now that the light panel is turned off by just looking at the Pegasus Astro. I've got power turned off to the light panel, so I can minimize this. So what we're going to do now is do something called a dark flat. So the thing with a dark flat is you take it dark, obviously, but you take it at the exact same exposure that you took your flats, and you do the same number. So we're going to do 50 of those. So now it is capturing those. If I remove my camera, you can see the countdown in the bottom right hand corner down here. It's at 18 now out of 50. It is coming up on being complete here with the dark flats. All right. It is done. It's writing the last 5 to the SSD drive, which is on the scope outside. And that is it for SharpCap. So what I can do now is I can turn my cooler off. Actually, what I like to do is I like to bring the target temperature back up to 0. And so that'll basically just bring it up to outside temperature. And while it's doing that, I'm going to open up file transfer one more time here, and we're going to go back into the live stream box here, and you'll see I've got a bunch of dark flats and I've got a bunch of flats listed here, so I want to grab all of those and start transferring. So this is going to take a while. It's 3 gigs of information here. It's initially saying it's going to take 30 minutes. Now it's taking 15 minutes. You know, that's the typical Microsoft. Never believe the time remaining that you get on a Windows machine. I don't know how accurate Macs are, but it's definitely not accurate on a Mac. I mean, on a PC. We're going to go back to SharpCap, and our sensor is already at -3, so it'll be at 0 degrees in no time here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the cooler off. Okay, I'm going to disconnect the focuser. Before I disconnect my filter wheel, I'm going to turn the filter back on luminance, bring it back to luminance. That's always a good starting point. And then I'm going to disconnect the scope from the mount. And we're good to shut down SharpCap now. So SharpCap is going to close. So the only thing remaining right now is the Pegasus Astro software. And I can turn the power off to the CGX, and I can turn the power off to the camera. So they're off now. And I can turn this down. So, you know what? Before I shut this down, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it running for now, because I want to make sure that I don't lose power to the computer that's out there as it's doing this file transfer. File transfer is still going good. So this is going to be a little bit of a time-consuming process here. It's still saying it's going to take about 10 minutes to transfer the files. I could go out there and just unplug the SSD drive and bring it in, and it would only take like 20 seconds to do this transfer. But I like to get in the habit of doing the transfer over TeamViewer like this, because eventually, in a magnificent, wonderful world, this telescope is going to be on a farm somewhere under beautiful dark skies, and it's going to be mounted permanently in an observatory, and I'm going to be doing this all remotely. I'm not going to be walking out to the backside of the farm where the telescope is mounted to do this. It'll all be done wirelessly. So that's why I'm trying to force myself to be in the habit of doing everything manually here right now. But rather than waste a bunch of time here, since we're done outside, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to start striking what I can while the computer is still fired up out there and transferring. So I can't power down my batteries, and I can't really dismantle the telescope or anything right now, but I can kind of start picking up a few things. I'll switch over to the outside camera here. Let's see. And what am I going to do? I'm going to turn the audio back on so I can keep blabbing while I'm out there at the camera. You should hear me when I get outside. All right, so I'm trying to think what I can actually do right now. I know I can kill power to the light panel. I'm going to wrap this up. Okay. Take my wonderful little light panel off. What else can I do? Oh, I can take the center spreader out. That's really it until I can power the batteries down and start packing everything up out here. All right, I'm back inside. Just gonna kind of wait until this file transfer gets done. Nothing happening outside. Everything's done out there. So our next step, once we get all the files transferred, is going to be to actually start processing the image that we captured this evening, which I am going to use a program called Astro Pixel Processor. It is not on the same level, I would say. Well, you know, I hate to say that it's not on the same level as PixInsight, because PixInsight is just such a complicated program. You know, I mean, I know there's guys that love it. I haven't learned it yet, and I know it's something that I've got to eventually get to here as we watch these files slowly transfer here. Maybe it wasn't such a great idea to do the transfer over TeamViewer. I should have just went outside and grabbed the SSD card. I could have transferred all this and been done by now. And there's still a possibility that I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm only halfway through. I don't have the patience for this. All right, so we're gonna stop. We're gonna abort the transfer. So we got half of the files transferred, but I want to be able to go ahead and shut everything down outside. So here's what we're gonna do: is I am going to what do I need to do? I need to shut the computer off that's outside. So when I do that, I'm gonna lose everything here. Yeah, shut down. So the computer outside is shutting down, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to the outside camera until I get back in the house. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to grab the SSD drive so I can start doing this transfer. I'm not going to bore you guys watching me strike everything live like you had the pleasure of watching this setup. But I do need to grab that SSD drive. So I'm going to go take care of that right now. All right. I'll mute that outside camera, and we'll go back to my desktop here. Oh, wrong button. Desktop only. So you can see I've lost the TeamViewer connection, of course, because I've powered everything off out there. So we'll turn that off, and I am going to go to the Astro drive. And I'm going to select all of these darks and flats, dark flats. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go to my current projects folder. I keep everything in a current project. I'm going to paste here. And of course it's going to zip through these. It's going to tell me I'm going to skip the files that are already there. So boom, it's done. So it just did those 50 files in a fraction of the time. All right, so let's look at the file structure here. So you see I've got a bunch of images called dark flats. I've got a bunch of files called flats. I've got 50 of each one of those, and then we've got the actual images of M27. How many actual images of M27? We have 20. Okay. So I'll let somebody else do the math. 20 times 90 seconds, I think that's 30 minutes is how long our final picture is going to be. So let's launch Astro Pixel Processor. And it's verifying my license, which is a good thing. And then it's going to ask me for the working directory. So what I need to do is I need to find the current projects. This is the folder that I want it to store everything in. So I click open. The object name is M27. You can see in the left-hand column there, M27_HA, because that's all this image is going to be. Processing is going to be a lot quicker than capture. So for lights, I want to find all of my light frames. The light frames are the actual pictures of M27. Starting right here, and I want to select all of the lights. And I want to apply the filter that's the header, that's in the header of the file. So when you capture these FITS files, it writes in the header, like it's basically metadata. If anybody's familiar with metadata in a regular digital camera picture, and it embeds that it was taken with the hydrogen alpha filter. So I don't need to check this box because it will apply the filter that's in the header tag there. So that's all good. We're only working on one session tonight. If I had taken, say, an hour's worth of pictures last night, this would be session 2, but we're only working on session 1, so I keep the only one session box checked. And you can see down here in the bottom now, these are my 20 light frames that were taken in hydrogen alpha. They use kind of a color code too, so the hydrogen alpha filter is kind of a reddish color. So we'll scroll down here and I'll find my flat frames. I like to do everything in order. So let's see, this is my first flat, and this is my last flat, and these will apply the filter tag as well, so it knows that it was taken while the hydrogen alpha filter was active. Only one session, yes. Darks. So for the darks, I've got to go to my dark library, which is right here. And let's see, these are the wrong darks. So let me find the folder that has the right darks. I might have to go to the actual do I not have my darks already loaded in here? Alright, so we're stumped again. I thought I had the darks. You know what, I'm going to skip darks for a moment. I'm going to go to the dark flats and load the dark flats. And this is for all channels. Only one session. I've never gotten this message before. One of the files seems to be incomplete or corrupt. So I just kind of click OK. And it did not bring any of the dark flats in. Let's see what's going on here. Dark flat. Let's try that one more time. Open. All channel. One session. So one of the files, let's see, the one that ends with 1308. 221308. Seems to be corrupt. Okay, so let's just bypass that then. 1308. So these are all good. right, so that's the bad one there. So we'll select everything prior to that. Okay, and then we'll go back and we'll add the dark flats that are after that, 1308. I wonder what happened there. There's two 1308s. Interesting. Let's see if it'll take this one. I wonder why it named the files the same. Oh no, the beginning number is different. So I don't know if it's this one or the other one. That's good. Nope, that's the bad one. All right. So, you know what? 48 is good enough, but we're gonna try this one. All right, so we have 49 dark flats, we have 51 flats, and we have 20 lights. So as we look at the pictures here in the list, you can see our dark flats, and you can see our flats, and then you can see our lights. So everything is loaded that we need to work with tonight. Lights, flats, dark flats. We don't do bias frames with the CMOS camera, is what I've been told by a few certain professionals. The dark flats are done in place of bias frames. So now we go to tab 2, calibrate. And like I was saying, I pretty much leave everything on automatic here. I don't, I let it do everything on its own. So I'm going to let it start this process here. This is going to take a while. And while it's doing this, I am going to go outside and I'm going to start tearing down my gear. So for this first phase, I'm going to go ahead and just leave it on this screen so you can see the process. And I will open up the mic outside and talk to you while I'm striking everything outside. All right. Alright, so the first thing I have to do is just power everything down here and get the cables unplugged from the mount, power and USB. They stay attached to the camera. And now everything is ready to come inside. All right, I know that's still going. It's about 55% complete, but I'm going to go ahead and come back to the camera. So I've got the telescope inside, and I realized, I don't know how I didn't catch this earlier, but I forgot to extend the dew shield, which, you know, it's funny to even say the word dew out here in the desert. Oh, look at what we've got here. We've got a visitor outside. That dog is so nosy. That dog is so nosy. But anyway. So, yeah, so I forgot to extend the dew shield, which, again, we don't need dew here, or need a shield for dew here in the desert. But it does come in handy for stray light. And luckily, I was shooting pretty much straight overhead, so didn't really have any issues with any kind of light reflections in the camera. We're going to go back to the desktop here. It's still about 70% away, but it's going fast, so I'm going to run outside. Oh, it's wrapping up fast here. I'm going to wait until the next step before I run outside to start striking some more stuff, because this is going to come up pretty fast here. Critical warning, flat field calibration cannot be performed correctly. To be able to perform accurate flat field calibration, the provided lights need to be calibrated by either a master bias of the same ISO gain value as the light frame or a master dark. Oh, you know what? What did we forget? My dark frames. I didn't have dark frames. I forgot to find the dark frames. Oh, guys. Boy, I tell you, what am I doing here? So we're going to go back to load. And yeah, we've got 0 dark frames. I knew I was missing something. You guys saw me missing something. You know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to plug the SD card into my desktop here. Okay. So let's minimize that. Let's minimize this. Oh, it won't let me minimize that. Let me find my Astro SD card that has the dark library on it. And this is the offset 21. This is the folder that we want, 92nd folder here. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to copy this into the current projects folder. We'll copy that right here. All right, so that won't take long. Once this is done, we will go back to AstroPixel processor. We will add the dark frames, and then we'll run through that whole process again. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I'm worried about live streaming and stuff like that, and I'm not really paying attention to all of the steps. So darks. Now we have darks. These are 90-second darks at -5 degrees and a offset of 21. We'll add those to all channels, only one session. Now, so we have our 20 lights. If you look in the left-hand column, our 51 flats, our 50 darks that we just added, and our 49 dark flats. So we're going to go through this whole process one more time and let it do its thing. And you've already seen this go through once, so you get to watch me outside. Yay! I'm going to go strike the mount next. I'll bring the batteries in first. Now I'll take the counterweights off. Bring these weights inside. See how our processing is going in here. Where are we at here? We are at 36%, so I have time to probably strike them out. Yep. I have time to strike them out before the next step here.
Mount's coming off.
Where are we at? 66%? I got time to go grab the tripod.
This is a big tripod. Oh. Okay.
All right. Back to the software here. It's about 76% done. It goes from 70 to 100% pretty fast here, so so you can see, other than the webcam that's outside, I'm packed up. So let's see. Let's switch back over to the desktop. All right. Huh. I've never gotten this message before, so I've got to kind of read it here and see what's going on. I've got two options here. Please select the correct master flat for light frames. Oh, you know what? Because this was the bad one the first time around, so we're gonna say the second one here. I can see in the file name here it says session_11 instead of labeling it session 2. You can see this one says session 1. This one says 1.1. So it just redid the master flat so it appended it with a different name. So I'm going to say okay. So it's going to do the same thing for this. Yes. And it's going to do the same thing here. And click OK. Okay. Why is it doing it for each individual frame? All right, well, let me just go through, because I'm not going to... All right, so we'll see how this turns out. We're going to go to Analyze the Stars now. Again, I use the default setting. So that last little screen, I think, had something to do with the fact that I did the calibration tab, which was number 2 here. I did it twice, and I think it was kind of confused. So that's never popped up before, but I also never forgot to load my dark frames either. Let me turn the sound off outside. All right, so audio should be a little cleaner now. In fact, while this step's almost done, I think the next step takes a little while. So let's go to register, and again, I use the default settings. I don't really change anything because I don't know what any of this stuff does. So I'm going to do start registration, and this is going to take a few minutes. So while it's doing that, I am going to go, oh, registration was that fast? Wow, okay. I know one of these takes a while. Maybe it's normalizing the lights. So that's what we're on now. We're on step 5, normalizing the lights. I'm going to go ahead and kill my webcam that's outside and go strike it. All right, I'll be right back. All right, looks like we're done and ready for the next step. So our next step is to integrate all of the files together. We want to integrate all, and this is where, so you see it says lights to stack 100%. So this is where you would change it to, 18 of 20 would take the best, but we're going to just stack them all. We're going to leave everything else the same. This is where it asks you to give it a name, which we've already done, so we click OK. And it starts this little quick process of combining everything. Come here, boy. Come say hello to everybody. Come say hello to everybody. Oh, look at you. Get up. Easy. Watch that tail. Mama's asleep. So it's just about wrapped up. This is my little Astro buddy here, Titan. Oh yeah. Shh. He likes to hang out outside. Go get on the couch and lay down while I'm finishing my work here, okay? So, getting close, and we'll see an image come through here in a moment. And here comes our final image. Alright, so we can zoom in, and we can see it did a pretty decent job of stacking here. This is at 100%. And at this point, everything I do is probably completely wrong. So there's no saturation because this is a black and white image, but what I like to do is go in here and adjust these settings. And I usually zoom in to 100% on the Nebula because I want to make sure that I'm not like messing anything up. That, this is really what we're worried about here, the Nebula. So I will sort of tweak a couple of these settings here and see what they do to the Nebula or to the background. That looks like it kind of lightened up the background a little bit. I'll make a little minor adjustment. Oh, that made it really too dark. So, and that's too light. So we'll do some fine tuning here to bring that black background back into black. I look at the histogram here, and what I'm trying to do is to get it to where it just gets to this first little part here. So make another little minor adjustment. Ever so slightly inching over. So that's where it looks like it's going to start crushing the blacks here. Zoom out. You can see it's a pretty decent flat field. The darks and the flats and the light flat frames did a pretty good job of correcting for everything. I'll go down here, adjust the sharpness just a little bit. I really should have been zoomed in to 100% before I did that. I don't like to not be at 100% when I adjust sharpness, because you can really, like if I go crazy with the sharpness here, this is going to be bad. Yeah, it's crunching bad now, so you'll see it do something really crazy here. Yeah, so that's not looking good to me. So I'm going to bring the sharpness back down to about right in there. And then what I can do is I can go into tools and I can go to what do I want to do? Batch modify. Yes. And it'll let me crop it, I believe, in here. Crop. Oh. And say crop OK. Ask me what file format. So this is going to go straight to Instagram. Change the quality all the way up to 100%. And so now we have our picture. If I go back to this folder, current projects, and sort by type, here is our finished picture. Oh, well, that can't be it. That looks horrible, doesn't it, guys? Okay, so what did we do wrong here? Let's go back into our saved data here. Again, I told you, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to processing, but let's open up our processed image here. Okay, well, we can go back a step. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. Same name, and I'm going to save a TIFF file. Okay. And I'm going to change it to a 16-bit TIFF. And it's going to save it as a TIFF file in the same folder. And then we will minimize, not close, minimize, find the TIFF file, open up the TIFF file in Photoshop. Alright, so now I can zoom into 100% here. And I can fool around with levels, make the background a little darker. I like my backgrounds dark. I know I might be losing a little bit of nebulosity, you know, but again, this is not science that we're doing here. Exposure. Okay. And then the last thing I will do is I will go into the filters and I will go to noise, reduce noise. Oh, I gotta make sure that the background is selected. Cancel. Now filter, noise, reduce noise. So I just fool around here until I get an image that I'm kind of happy with as far as cleaning up the noise versus leaving a little bit of the detail. So I'm happy with that there. Alright, and then I will go back to fit on screen, and I will do a crop, and I will do a ratio of 1:1 square because we're going to upload this to Instagram next. Okay. Yeah, I could crop in it a little tighter than that. Click OK. I mean, you can see how big the file is. It's still, you know, even cropped in that much image size. It's 2,000 pixels square, roughly. All right, so we're going to save this as a JPEG into that same folder. Change our file format to JPEG. Save. I always save it at maximum size. All right. So I think we're done. So I'll show you one thing that I know a lot of people probably don't realize they can do, but first I want to make sure that that file is good. So there's the JPEG. Yep. All right. I'm going to go to my browser here. I'm going to open up my Instagram feed, which yes, I'm signed in under my account. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, Nevada_desert_skies, Nevada Desert Skies. This is me. But a lot of people don't realize that they can upload. If you're using Chrome, you can actually upload to Instagram from your desktop, which most people don't realize you can do that. You got to go to More Tools, you got to go to Developer Tools, and it opens up this window here. And then you click on this little icon here that looks like a phone or a tablet, and what it does is it simulates your phone and tablet. Sometimes you have to hit reload, and then you'll see now down here at the bottom that we've got the ability to add the photograph. So I will go into that folder. I will find that JPEG there, and I will upload. Click next. Caption. Today is the 24th, 08/24/2020. First live stream capture image. M27, 30 minutes. HA. And then I can go in later and edit all of the hashtags and everything to tag it. And there we are. Image is posted to my Instagram. All right, so I believe we're at a point now. Everything is packed up. Everything's inside. So we're good to call it a night. We went live on part 1 before I had to stop the feed right at 8 o'clock. It is now going on 11 o'clock. So we got 3 hours from the beginning of setup to capturing a 30-minute exposure of M27, the Dumbell Nebula, to capturing it, to processing it, to striking everything and getting all the gear back in the house. So I'd say that's not too bad as far as timeline goes for a pretty decent 30-minute exposure. Again, here's our final image. And I'll zoom in a little bit to that. We'll make it full screen. And that is what we are going to call it a night on. So glad you guys could join, if you did join, or if you're watching this on a very long repeat. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully I'll be doing more streams.